Where is that?
I can sign my name now.
I'd like to call this meeting of the Ellsworth Planning Board to order, June 5th, 2019. Can we introduce ourselves, please?
Dave Burks.
Mike Howie?
John DeLeo.
John Fink.
Rick Lyles.
Roger Lassard.
And Dick is here for the first time.
Dave.
Dave, sorry.
You can call me
Dave is
anything
here
you
for-
want.
Dave is here for the first time, and Mike is here for the last time. And I don't know how many of you know, before Michelle Gagne left, she told each of us that we were not allowed to resign without her permission. And then she left, and Mike resigned.
I've done my civic duty.
Before we begin officially, I would like to present this certificate to Mike in appreciation of the years that he has spent with us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You may hang that on the wall,
I will. Thank you very
and it
much.
will prove to your family that you were actually where you said you were. The first item of business is the adoption of the minutes from May 1st. Is someone prepared to make a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion, corrections, additions? Hearing none, all approved, all who approve? Thank you. Now, third item of business is an amendment to an approved subdivision titled Weed Estate Subdivision for Alice Dow, Jeffrey Dow, and Weed Estates, Inc. The amendment would reconfigure lots 1 through 3 in the existing 4-lot subdivision, adding .12 acre to lot 1, which is taken from lot 2, and 0.18 acre to lot 2, which is taken from lot 3. Lot 4 would not be changed. The subject parcels are all in tax map 14, lots 1, 1-1, 1-2, and 1-3. The subject land is in the rural zone, and someone representing the applicant, please.
Stephen Salisbury for Weed Estates and Jeff and Alice Dow.
Well, go ahead, please.
Just here seeking permission to move some interior lot lines within the subdivision. Lots 1 and 2 are built upon now, and we need to make some adjustments to the lines to accommodate the structures that were built. Lot 3 is vacant and still retains 3.7 acres of land and frontage on the Surrey Road. And Lot 4 is not being changed whatsoever.
Questions from the board?
The answer?
Any member of the public wish to comment on this matter? I ask that you come up to the podium, state your name for the record, and then tell us what you have to say. Anyone wish to speak? Hearing no desire to speak, I shall close the public hearing. What would the board like to do?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the amendment to approve subdivision titled Weed Estate Subdivision, Plan File 2730 for Alice Dow, Jeff Dow, and Weed Estates Incorporated. The amendment would reconfigure lots 1 through 3 in the existing 4-lot subdivision, adding 0.12 acre to lot 1, taken from lot 2, and 0.18 acre to lot 2, taken from lot 3. Lot 4 would not be changed. The subject parcels are all in tax map 14, lots 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. Subject land is in the rural zone.
Is there a second to this motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
You can almost go home.
Not quite.
Okay, the next item of business is a final plan review for a minor subdivision titled Megan G. Fellis Subdivision for Megan Estates. The proposal is to divide a 13.3 acre parcel, tax map 117, lot 20, on the Mariahville Road into 4 parcels ranging in size from 2.4 to 4.2 acres. The subject property contains land in both the rural and limited residential zones. Someone representing the applicant, please.
We'd like to have that tabled until next month. Andrew McCullough had a engagement and also did it. Apparently, we falling on the night of an award ceremony at the high school, so. both
And we
these-
don't get any awards,
We
do
didn't get invited, no. So we'll just carry that forward on next month's agenda.
Any objection from the board?
Nope.
In that case, the next item of business is a final plan review for a minor subdivision and revision to an existing subdivision titled Happy Town Heights for Christopher Durrett. The amendment would divide the existing 5.5 acre Lot 4, tax map 89, Lot 2, at 884 Happy Town Road into 3 separate lots, 2 of them 1.85 acres each, and one of them 1.84 acres. Division would trigger the creation of a new minor subdivision. The subject land is in the drinking water zone. Is someone representing the applicant, please?
Chris Durrett and Steve Salisbury.
Go ahead, please.
Yep, so looking to split the existing 5.5 acre lot into 3 separate lots. All 3 roughly a little under 2 acres. On the revised plan, there's a 20-foot right-of-way from the discussion from last month's meeting about access for lot 4-2. So I believe that 20-foot right-of-way on lot 4-3 should alleviate those issues by placing the driveway at the southern end of lot 4-3.
And 4-1 has structure on
It has well and septic and
Yeah.
a gravel pad for mobile home and a driveway for the images.
it. Other questions?
There had been a site distance issue. Is that resolved? Or how are we supposed to resolve it, I guess? I mean, I didn't see it as a covenant or anything. But,
Well, it's a 35-mile-an-hour zone, so each driveway would require 350-foot sight distance each direction. I mean, and that was a big portion of our discussion last month. And I noticed in the minutes that I believe Mr. Tilton said that the map would show where the driveways were going to be shown on the plan. The revised map, there's no driveway shown, so it's kind of hard to tell where you would have done the sight distance from. And unless code has something, we have no information on what the sight distance were for each of those 3 lots.
Steve and I went out and measured that, and if we go right to the lower corner of lot 4-3, we can measure 350 feet. And I also did it on Google Earth. Steve was gonna show a line on the map, but with this 20-foot right-of-way, we have to issue a road opening permit anyway before they can get a building permit. So at that time, we'll make sure that that's, because without doing any soil, we have a soil test, but, if they go out and they clear that, and we have a covenant on a deed or something like that, I'm not really concerned about. I think city's got enough control in it to make sure it's done right when it comes to us.
And that's for lot 4-3, but now, let's say the driveway for 4-2 is, let's just put it in the middle of that lot. Now, how do you get 350 feet around, or pretty much a 90-degree curve?
No, that 4-2, it has to come in at the lower end of 4-3. There's no other way to get 350 feet.
oh, so it comes down and goes back?
It's gonna have to come in that right away and travel up to that
Okay.
lot.
Gotcha.
That's
And
why
that's
we
what the
have it
20
going
foot is
so
for?
far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you repeat that? I'm not quite sure.
I'm sorry, John. That's the reason that 20-foot right-of-way goes all the way to 4-2. That's where that driveway is gonna have to go. That driveway is gonna have to come in with the entrance of 4-3, and 4-2 are gonna come in the same entrance. And then 4-2 is gonna have to go up towards that lot. There's no other physical way. We tried a couple ways to measure that. Unless you're gonna clear that whole corner out. And you
Well-
brought up a good point. Well, then we'd have to get some type of easement or a covenant that would have to be maintained, cleared the whole time. But if they come down to this lower corner where rebar, number 6 rebar is found,
Okay.
for the entrance, and then travel out parallel, we don't like doing that, but the state a lot of times requires that same thing. If you don't have a good sight distance, they want everyone to use a common driveway and then travel out, so.
That makes, I couldn't understand how you're getting the sight distance for 4-2, but that, okay. But what about the, okay, so is the gravel drive that's depicted on 4-1, is that where the driveway's gonna be?
That's all, yeah, that's all existing.
Okay. And so the site distance from 4-1 driveway is, I mean, kind of the same thing, you're going 350 feet in the opposite direction around that corner.
Right. But that's been an existing driveway since this subdivision was done. Except, well, when this lot was originally cut out in the subdivision, I'm not aware of any issues. Most people, if they're familiar with this area, they're gonna slow down on that corner, but you always have that person like myself, not north, that may not slow down on the corner. But, I didn't go to the police department looking for any history of accidents there, but, you know, we kinda watch the traffic a little bit, and they, you know, they're aware of what's going on. And again, it's far enough down, it's kinda cleared out in the front there. The city owned this lot at one time, we took it back on taxes, and we never utilized it, and then we put it back out to bid, but
Anyone else have questions? Are you satisfied?
Yes, oh, sorry.
Well, I don't see here for some reason is a, drainage?
What?
Anything on drainage?
Drainage? I don't think so.
they're not creating any impervious at all
Okay.
until,
There's no development at this point?
right.
So, okay. So does the board wish to take some action on this?
Did you open up to the public?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is a public hearing. Does anyone wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I close the public hearing. Thank you, Russ. What would the board like to do?
I make a motion that we, final plan review for the Habitat Heights existing subdivision. The amendment would divide the existing 5.54 acre lot, tax map 89, lot 2 at 4884 Habitat Road. Lot in 3 separate lots, 2 of them 1.85 each, and 1 of them 1.84. And division would trigger the creation of a new minor subdivision.
Is there a
And
second?
the zoning is in the drinking water zone.
Is there a second to this motion? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I
Yes.
just clarify? I think I understood the intent, but just for the minutes, the motion is to approve.
Yes.
Yep. Just to make sure.
Well, it would have been more interesting to leave it
I
with
just
no
didn't hear
apparent
the word
reason.
approve, so I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, I didn't say
I don't think you heard,
Said.
because it wasn't said.
Okay, thank you, all right.
Any discussion? All in favor, please? Next, final plan for a major use site development and major subdivision titled Denver Way Echo Homes for Jonathan Bates. The proposal is to build a 15 single-family, two-bedroom homes on an 8.5-acre parcel of land. Tax map 58, lot 19-3 on Denver Way off the Bangor Road. Subject land is in the urban zone. Is someone representing the applicant?
Chip Haskell with CES and Jonathan Bates.
Go ahead, please.
All right. Before you is a 15-unit proposed development on Denver, what will become Denver Way, an extension of Denver Way, off of the Bangor Road on Route 1. It's been before the board before. I think we've discussed a lot of this, and not much has changed since our first meeting here. We've been through TRT again and addressed all of those comments, some adjustments to some geometry, fire protection tank layout changes there, and that is honestly about it. I don't know if you want to go any deeper as far as what the project is. If we need to address that again.
Why don't you summarize it for
Happy
us?
to. Again, 15 units. But these will be single-family houses with garages. And we've got about 900 feet of road that'll go in there and branch out to service the additional lots. We'll be installing 2 septic systems to service these 15 units, 2 stormwater treatment areas to service the stormwater, or to treat the stormwater rather, from the new impervious area. This will all be private water and sewer. So we'll have wells located on the western portion of the site there. And see, I think that's probably about it. We do have a rain garden as well, treating a small portion of stormwater right around unit 7. Beyond that, it's pretty simple.
And these are rental units.
That's correct. Yep.
Questions from the board?
Just real quickly, run through why the post-development flow is less than the pre-development flow.
Sure. What we're required to do is, as you all know, to reduce the post-development flow on the site when compared to pre-development. In order to do that, what we've done is propose these focal point treatment systems in 2 locations on that site, and routed stormwater, around the site to get to those areas. What we do by doing that is slows the flow down. It goes through these treatment devices, treats the stormwater from a quality perspective, and slows it down at the same time with the detention areas that are above those treatment areas. So the idea there is we slow that flow down, spread it out over a longer time.
Okay. And sorry. Is there any flow into the street via the driveway, or is the site itself lower than the street?
The site itself is lower than the street.
Okay,
Yep.
what about the backside?
The back, like.
Well, in terms
site.
of adjacent properties. Yeah,
So
flow.
that's where we have to compare the pre and post.
Okay.
So that's why that
Good
ordinance
enough.
is there, exactly, yep.
And do they have to be inspected, the filter pumps?
Yes, that's part of the city's annual inspections, I believe, correct, right?
Yes, we actually do have someone certified,
Okay.
so we will be doing that, yeah.
Question maybe for Mike Hannigy, is there an adequate emergency vehicle access?
Yes, we've been in contact with Mr. Haskell, and through the actual turning template that they've produced, have shown us that the radius that they have shown on the plan is adequate for the largest truck or the shortest wheelbase truck that we have to be able to get around the corners. The back is backing fill as well as getting around, so. And we've issued a letter to them in that effect. I guess I would ask Chip and Mike on that entrance there. were you able to tweak that a little concerning the angle that it comes out to make it more?
Yeah, we've
Right
widened
angle.
that radius on the inside there. It just shows up just barely on the outside of that plan. But what we did do is work with the DOT, so we revised our permit with the DOT, and part of that, we widened that curb cut basically in that area to make for a lot easier right-hand turn into the site.
Mike, you're happy with that? Because even, it looks like on the diagram you provided that your truck actually goes into the outbound lane. I mean,
Yeah.
granted, won't be there often, but
Yeah.
it just seems like it's still, a right angle
Yeah.
turn is better than that.
Chief and I have looked at that, and he was happy with that, the way it was. I think the idea basically was being able to get that truck in there as easy as possible without having to go inside that radius. But the 20-foot radius is plenty for us right there.
And thank you for working with DOT to make it more of a, or less of a sharp angle.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
We have that permit, right? And
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
Any further questions from the board? Does any member of the public wish to speak on this application? Okay, close the public hearing. What would the board like, I assume that the board is satisfied with the submission materials. Hearing no objections, what would the board like to do?
Make a motion that the final plan for the major use site development and major subdivision titled Denver Way Echo Homes be approved. Proposal is to build 15 single-family two-bedroom homes on an 8.5-acre parcel of land, tax map 58, lot 19-3, on Denver Way off the Bangor Road. The subject land is in the urban zone, and I did include approved.
I heard it.
Approved, very good.
I learned.
Is there a second?
I'll-
Any discussion?
We're just doing that because I slipped that word in there.
Yeah, right.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please indicate. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're not here for something else, are you?
Unfortunately, one more.
Oh, all right.
You're just doing some work for your money.
Next item is final plan review for a major site use development and major subdivision titled Jefferson Lux Veruga Properties LLC. The proposal is to build 4 three-story multifamily housing units with a total of 45 residential units on a 1.9-acre parcel, tax map 16, lot 3, off Good Stuff Way, located off the Beachland Road. The subject land is in the commercial zone. Is someone representing the applicant, please?
Chip Haskell with CES and Jonathan Bates.
Go ahead, please.
Before you, you have an application for 4 three-story apartment buildings totaling 45 units on this lot just shy of 2 acres. I think you're all familiar with the site from our site walks, but for those of you who aren't, this is sort of behind Global Beverage Warehouse and Acadia Provisions off of Beachland Road and High Street. What we're proposing to do, again, is the four apartment buildings. This will be serviced with public water, public sewer. The water main will be extended from Beachland to the site on Jefferson, what will become Jefferson Way. We'll then continue with private water line down to the end of, or to service the rest of the units. The sewer will become public-owned, city-owned throughout the development. For stormwater, we've provided a vegetated underdrain soil filter just south of building number 4 on the bottom left of the plan you're looking at. That's for stormwater. That's going to do the same thing that the on the previous application. It's going to detain and treat the runoff that's going to it. In this case, we're treating almost all of that impervious surface that you see on that plan, far exceeding the requirements from the city and DEP. Let's see, anything else? Lighting is just really on the buildings themselves, just to provide some wayfinding. And I think that's about it on this one as well. We did talk about traffic, I guess we can get into that. We obviously had the site walk. We've worked very closely with DOT on this. This site, in general, not just ours, but everything with Global Beverage Warehouse and Acadia Provisions, is included in one, it's viewed as one subdivision by DOT. Meaning, if any changes to the subdivision need to be brought before DOT, and a traffic impact analysis needs to be completed and approved by DOT, prior to amending that driveway entrance permit. So we went ahead and did that traffic impact analysis, worked with DOT. They were in agreement with our recommendations. Our recommendation was a modification to the light on High Street in Beachland, specifically the left turn off of High Street onto Beachland. Right now, it is solely a left arrow with no green ball provision. So if you're waiting there, you can only turn left when there's a green arrow. What we're proposing now is to have, the technical term for this is protected permitted. Right now, you have a protected left turn with the green arrow. What we'd like to do is install a permitted left turn, which would allow you to turn left if there are no oncoming vehicles. The hope there is that we are able to get more vehicles off of High Street, at times when they currently cannot do that. So that frees up that intersection a little bit better. Our models show that really improves that intersection drastically, regardless of what we're doing here. The key thing here, what this development is adding to this entire area is minuscule in the grand scheme of things. We're adding 27 trips in the PM peak hour. So it's very, very minimal. Really 1 every 2 minutes, and that's not in any one spot. That's really just sort of what's entering and exiting our driveway. So it doesn't have much of an effect on this intersection one way or the other, but the improvements to that light would benefit it regardless of this development.
Jeff, the improvement to the change in the left turning sequence, does Bruce Mattson propose to do that for the southbound traffic also?
He is not. Although what we would be doing would be conducting counts in July or August. What we had to do was we took counts in order to get this done. We took counts early and applied a very conservative inflation factor to those numbers to try to model what the peak seasonal traffic would be. So we believe our numbers are quite conservative, but what we'll end up doing at the request of Bruce would be to go out in July or August to get peak counts so that the timing on those lights can be better determined. So the timing portion of that, I think, will help to make sure that the amount of time that you have to turn left, for any movement is correct.
Changing it to, instead of just having a dedicated left, to having a left turn at all times, the benefit is getting more traffic through there. The downside is you drastically increase the chance of a left turning accident with cars headed south.
You certainly run that possibility, absolutely. You're obviously required to yield, but we all know that. The model, from our models anyway, it's showing right now this intersection was functioning at a level of service of F. And even just that one simple change brought that, I believe, to a C, which was much improved.
Are there any plans that it's going to be synchronized, that light is going to be part of the...
I can't speak to that, I guess, but...
Pardon?
I can't speak to that personally. but-
Yeah, city manager maybe. Is it the lights? We have 4 lights now synchronized, right? Eventually, is that light going to be synchronized to the system? Traffic light? On Beecham Road? That traffic light, is it going to be part of our synchronized system for all the lights? Dave? Do you know? On Beecham Road, where Jackson Lab, that area, where the new bank came in right there on Beecham, where this project's coming, is that going to be, it's not synchronized, that light. Is it eventually going to be part of the synchronization plan?
And again, I'm not the IT, Jason Ingalls, who's the IT manager, is
Okay.
the expert on this.
Yeah.
But it is our goal and we've talked to no less the Commissioner of DOT about bringing all our lights up to a certain standard. So certainly that's a pivotal link in the
Right.
system, there's no question about
They'll
it.
be included.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's
and
what I
particularly with the
wanted.
growth of Jackson Lab and all, it's on our radar screen for sure.
Okay.
Chip, could you explain in the revised information, and the lot has increased from 1.82 acres to, I believe it's 1.91?
9-1. Yeah, there was a, the city's tax records had that at 1.82. However, the boundary survey and our calculation showed that to be 1.91. So we went with the more accurate information there.
And Mr. Doyle, John, I actually had another engineer in town run that, and he came out with 71% impervious. So it's under the 75.
Okay, good, but I was gonna ask, there's changes also in the proposed structure footprint area, the proposed impervious surface area, and the proposed development surface area. There's quite drastic changes.
Yep.
I think last month, Rick discovered it was at a 90%, and now it's down to, it looks like to be
Based
just
on your
under
numbers.
70.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I don't
can.
know, I mean, it doesn't look like anything has changed on the map itself.
No, I'm not sure, I guess, where the numbers came from there, but I can, I'm very comfortable with the numbers we provided.
Which time?
I was about 2% off on the other one. I think I had a 68 originally. I've come back here, and that was based on the lot size change, more than anything. So what that, I mean, you've got a lot of non-impervious area there. I think you can certainly look at that and say that there's certainly more than 5% of vegetated area there. But, you know, the calculations are showing it's been peer reviewed to be, you know, that I had 69, I guess it was peer reviewed at 71.
So you said somebody else has looked at.
We had
the new
another
figure,
engineer
The new square
run it
footage.
through his system and determine it was at 71%, based on the new data on the increase in lot size.
Now,
Go ahead.
is there any, on the old map, shows, I think on all of them, a 5x5 easement to the Ellsworth Water District, but on the, kind of up in the upper left-hand corner where each apartment is. But on the new drawing, it doesn't include that. Is that something that should be in there?
Drawing I have shows that. Does it not show up on yours?
Yeah, let me make sure I'm,
What we're looking at here.
Yeah, what's the date you have on the one? It should be the one that's stamped May 28th. The one I have is dated May 28th, and I think Mike does too, and it shows the title block. It shows those easements.
Oh, you get 411, I think.
That's April 22nd.
Well, you may have this up from the last meeting also, but I think the one that was provided this time dated May 28th has those easements on there.
okay. Yep. I had that backwards.
May I? You done?
Yeah, yes, done.
It would be, notwithstanding, you know, your calculations and your calculations and so forth, it would be nice if all the calculations kind of like were the same and on the application, because I think that application thing becomes the official record, is that correct?
Yeah.
And so, you know, that should be squared away.
Yep. And I don't know.
One
what-
way or the other, yeah.
Sure, and I don't know what
There's
methods,
more.
I don't know what methods, you know, the other engineer used to use it. I don't know if he had our CAD file or not, but, you know, there's,
No, I'm not saying you're right or wrong, I'm just
Sure.
saying it would be
I
good if
understand.
everybody was on the same page.
Yep.
Because the numbers that you have right now show 76%, which is better than last time, you know, but,
I guess I'm not sure how you're coming up with that, I guess.
well,
With all due
if I
respect.
add up the 57,000 and 17,000 and, I'm sorry, the 57, the gross floor area and the surface area, okay?
So the impervious surface ratio is simply the proposed impervious surface divided by your total lot area. So you've got your 57,513 divided by your 1.91 acres. So
Okay,
the
and
building-
that should be 57 plus 17 should be the 1.91 acres, right? You got 57,000, right?
Well, there may be some undeveloped area there that isn't counted in that, but yeah, there should be right around that.
Okay, and when I calculated that, I got 76.
Well, but the developed area does not come into, that's not part of your impervious surface ratio.
Total lot area. Is it total lot area?
So it's just your impervious surface divided by your lot area.
Okay.
Developed area is your counts your vegetated area. So that's your landscaping
Okay,
and things like that.
okay, okay. All right, I'll buy that for the moment at least. In any event, the actual drawing shows 69%.
Sure.
And again, I think these things just need to be, I'm not
Yeah, I'm not
saying it's
sure
wrong.
there.
or anything. It just would be nice if they were all the same.
Yep. I think mine works.
And can you verify, and I think that you're covered on this, but that the land is graded and the water is treated, okay?
Yes.
In a sense, caught, if you will.
Yep.
So that there's no flow onto the Haslam property?
There will be flow, but it will be decreased, similar, just per the city ordinance and DEP
Okay,
regulations.
so it's decreased.
It will be
Okay.
decreased,
All right.
exactly, yep.
Okay.
Other questions or comments?
Oh, I have one other question. When you do this other count in July or August or whenever you're
Yeah.
gonna do it, what happens if the whole thing, with those counts go south? I mean, does this get reopened or
I
what?
think we'd have to address
What
that
does
with-
the state do?
Sure. I think ultimately, we have to address this with the state.
Okay.
The expectation is, I think from the state's perspective, that the trip generation from this, that's sound. We know what we're creating from this, and that it's not really going to have a significant adverse impact to this intersection. However, we understand that with a small improvement, we can make some improvements to this intersection.
Okay.
I think the counts that we're doing are simply to aid the timing efforts with that. So-
Are you gonna do a recalculation for level of service for the 4 approaches, since those are all
I
signalized?
guess I'm not too familiar with the timing process. I'm not personally a transportation and signal engineer, but I guess whatever calculations have to be done to.
Yeah, because again, my concern is not so much with what happens on the main drag, because that's
Sure.
bad anyway.
Yeah.
But if the queue on Beachland goes back past the entrance,
Yep.
getting into and out of the parcel,
Sure.
as we saw actually on the site visit with
Yep.
one whole
Exactly.
car,
Yep.
okay?
Yep. So I understand, and I think what we'd like to do there, we've proposed it in our impact study would be to add some signage,
Okay.
at the entrance there to the Good Stuff Way, informing people not to block that intersection. We're also open to striping that if the city's interested in that. I guess what I would add to this is that in that peak hour, we're looking at 12 vehicles approximately, and additional vehicles entering the site onto Good Stuff Way, which is one every 5 or 6 minutes. So I think, again, we have to understand the drop in the bucket that this is, that I'm quite certain the queue on Beachland is not that long. There's room in that double left turn lane for vehicles trying to turn left onto Good Stuff Way to get out of through traffic and not block folks trying to continue down Beachland. And the feeling is that, that frees up and there'll be enough gaps within 5 or 6 minutes at some point to get into Good Stuff Way.
Okay.
That's the plan.
I appreciate the plan, but at the same time, I think the calculations need to be, independent of what the state
Sure.
says, I think the calculations need to be redone to make sure that queue does not reach back. And based on, if what we saw in the field is any indication, even with more traffic
Sure.
on the main line, it seems unlikely that's gonna occur.
Yeah, I think
But
we saw the queue is going to happen. The queue is
Yeah.
going to extend past Good Stuff Way. We're a victim of where that road is, with an existing entrance permit on that. So we understand there's a problem. That's why we're trying to address that light as best we can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to go, during the site visit, unfortunately, I couldn't make the site visit. When you come out onto Route 3 at the right in, right out, the raised meeting there, any thought given to, 99% of the people will probably understand that, but would it be prudent to put a no left turn sign there? Just you know, you know what, I think about the one that.
We can certainly put one in, I
Not
guess.
opposed to it.
Yeah.
It'd be quite dangerous to try and achieve that.
Well.
but I'm sure you've seen it before.
Well, and there is a sign for the incoming.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
just back that up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Anyone else on the board have questions? I'd like to open the public hearing. Does anyone wish to comment upon this matter? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing and ask the board what it would like to do.
I'll make a motion if you want.
Sure.
Okay. Motion that the final plan review for a major use site development and major subdivision, Kettle Jefferson Lux for Ruger Properties LLC be approved. The proposal is to build 4 3-story multifamily housing buildings with a total of 45 residential units on a 1.91 acre parcel, tax map 16 lot 3, off of Good Stuff Way, located off of Beachland Road. The subject land is in the commercial zone.
Is there a second, please?
Second. I just have a question on the motion. In the information that Michelle had given us, I mean, there's a section here that goes on about that meets section 607 standards and criteria governing site development, plan review. And does that have to be included in the motion? It seemed like we always used to put that in the motion.
We can do
I mean,
that.
I didn't know if that was a requirement or if that was a Michelle requirement.
I think more a Michelle requirement. The assumption here is that the materials submitted have met planning board approval. We've all gone over that and not found any.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't forming the motion incorrectly.
Okay. So, any discussion? All in favor, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
You may go home.
Good times.
Unless you'd
My
like,
hours back there for you, too.
unless of course you'd like to stay for the rest of it.
You know, I'm hard pass.
How unappreciated we are.
Good news.
The next item is a proposed amendment to the City of Ellsworth official land use map. The proposal is to consider the rezoning of land between Douglas Highway and the Buttermilk Road, and also land south of the Buttermilk Road from the commercial zoning district and one parcel from the rural zoning district to the urban zoning district. The proposed rezoning includes 18 parcels of land totaling 114.86 acres, plus or minus on tax map 11, map 16. Is someone representing the applicant?
I will do that, since we are the applicant. I'll give you a little history. In 2012, after 6 years of a lot of effort and work, we redid our zoning, we come up with chapter 56. In that zoning, to coincide with the development that we did on the Bar Harbor Road, as far as making High Street one-way, we tried to recoup through a development fee the cost roughly $2 million that the city put into doing that work. So at that time, we hired a traffic engineer. They estimated how many trips we would have retail. That's why we ended up picking our peak retail time on a Saturday, a peak Saturday for retail. So in that process, it wasn't intentional. We ended up zoning out all residential single-family homes in the commercial zone, and not really realizing that people bought extra large lots so the family members could come back or parents could retire to the area. A few months ago, we actually zoned one small lot to coincide with the, I think it was Hancock, or was it Hancock, Lemoyne property line. They were rural, so we put it into a different zone. Well, we've had a developer come forward that would like to do some single-family homes, which you can't do. We got a gentleman here tonight who has a chance to come back and be with his family, and we can't allow him to build a house. So Michelle started this process, Michelle and Steve, about 2 years ago. It's gone before our zoning committee for approval, and met their requirements. Steve has put a lot of work into the memo that you had before you tonight explaining why. Basically, this zone allows everything that was allowed before, except for bulk storage of oil and hazardous materials, and retail developments over 100,000 square feet. So that's the only two things being lost with this rezoning, but it does now allow for the residential use, which is what staff feels is what we need to do to make it right.
Questions from the board?
I'm just
So you
curious.
ask for questions?
Hmm?
You ask for questions?
Yeah.
I'm just curious why Lot Q would be included in this. I mean, and I only ask that because, I mean, it's already adjacent to the Walmart. We told by the White Contracting LLC.
That was the developer that would like to do the single-family homes for, no, I don't want to use the word elderly because I'm there myself, but for seniors. There's a lot of seniors.
No,
that
you're
live-
elderly.
Well, thank you. From the man older than I am, but there are a lot of, we do get a lot of requests, and that's some of the reason Mr. Bates is doing what he's doing. There's a lot of seniors that want to come back to Ellsworth, and they have the financial means to rent a nice home, but they want it on one floor. So that's why we're at this point right now.
And obviously, the convenience to Walmart for those people would be a plus for both parties.
Further questions? This is a public hearing. Does anyone wish to comment on this matter? Hearing no one, I shall close the public hearing. What does the board want to do with this extraordinarily complex matter?
Makes sense.
Our task is to make a recommendation to the city council either for or against this.
I would make a motion that we recommend to the city council to accept the proposal to rezone the land between Douglas Highway and the Buttermilk Road, and also land south of the Buttermilk Road from the commercial zoning district, and one parcel from the rural zoning district to urban zoning district. The proposed rezoning includes 18 parcels of land, totaling 114.86 acres on tax map 11 and tax map 16.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor, please? Okay,
Thank you.
so you can go home.
As can we.
That's right.
Well, I
Got mine.
assume-
Oh, wait, we have to
Is that
sign
Mylars?
Yeah, there's another, yeah, you can, yeah.
Then let me suggest that, let me move that as soon as the Mylars are signed, that this meeting is adjourned. Second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Okay.